Charlie Hall starships were meant to fly. Hands up and touch the sky. Let's do it one more time. And then I don't actually know the next part of the song because it gets all weird and augmented. This is Sid Meier's Starships, which Charlie and I both got to check out an early demo of. I would call it a relatively brief demo that I finished in about 15 minutes. I don't know how you fared in the demo.
Well, I definitely spent a little more time with it than that. I actually played through it maybe half a dozen times.
Yeah, me too. I meant in one run through. There's only a handful of missions available, so we can't really show you like the more complex stuff that happens in the game. Some of the diplomacy, some of the stuff you might expect from the Civilization series, but we can show you what a crazy departure this is from Civilization. I want to talk about this first and foremost because I feel like this sort of interface is the most important thing in the game. This is how you customize your titular starships, your fleet of starships. You can augment, you can spend your energy, which is one of the many resources in the game, on upgrading every different part of your starship, like things like armor, engines, lasers, torpedoes, stealth, sensors, anything you can conceive of. And what's really cool is if you look at the little subtitle underneath each ship's name, as you change the ship, as you update certain parts of the ship, the title of the ship changes. So now by upgrading this one, it is a Corvette. By adding some armor to the other one, it becomes a destroyer. And so I really like that system of customization, like creating the ships that you want, be it a cruiser or a fast ship or a recon ship or whatever. Just by using that one system, I feel like is really slick.
Right, and those designations, destroyer, frigate, carrier, that's just kind of your clue.
Yeah.
As how you can use that ship, right? Like the customization that is available in the game really lets you build whatever kind of ship you want.
Yeah.
You can do really light, really fast with a bunch of aircraft on it.
You need a good mix of all of them if you're going to survive in combat. Right there, I want to mention we just blew through a few more customization things in the game, but basically I want to show off the different resources in the game. There's food, metal, energy, money, and science. I think those are the only ones. Are each used in a very specific way to increase either your potency in battle or your overall resource gain from turn to turn. And it's really, really streamlined. It's really slick. I find it actually a lot more parsable than it is in Civilization. So science, as you gain science, you can buy these overarching upgrades that apply to all your ships. So you can make all of your ship's lasers a little bit stronger if you spend, 1,000 energy or whatever or 1,000 tech on that particular upgrade. For food, you spend food upgrading the cities of each planet, and that in turn upgrades all of the resources that it gives you with each new turn. Like, all of the systems are all based around those very simple, easy to understand ideas. And I don't know, I'm really into it. Like, it's giving me almost like a more strategy RPG feel than, more of a straight up strategy game that the Civilization games typically offer.
No, totally agreed. When you're playing something of that kind of Masters of Orion kind of vein, one of those really deep, complex 4X games, you're always bringing your ships back to port to upgrade them, and you have these fleets that are out in outer space that just aren't up to snuff and get torn up in the late game. The level of abstraction that they've baked into this really keeps it moving, right?
Yeah.
Like, you upgrade the lasers, and the lasers are upgraded out in the field while this ship is out there making its journey. And it really keeps the action moving.
Yeah. Speaking of which, this is the first battle that I got into in the demo, and it moves very, very quickly because I upgraded the weapons of both of these ships, and it made very short work of the enemy fleet here. Basic sort of flow of the game is you have your home planet, and that sort of represents your current colony. And you go from to neighboring planets and do missions on those planets. And by doing missions, you get a reward upon completing the mission. And you also start building influence with that planet. You can see there I have 50% influence on that planet, which is neighboring my current one. So if I can get that to 100%, I will actually expand my empire, which is designated by that blue area. And that's sort of like the main goal of the game. Of course, in true Civilization fashion, there are other factions that are also going from planet to planet, trying to complete missions before you can. and they will build their own empires, and eventually, if you so choose, you can try and square off against them. This is one really cool thing. Those red circles in those asteroid belts are actually asteroid belts that will open and close. So every turn, they'll change from red, which means you can't go through them, to green, which means you can. And they also provide 100% cover. So you can see now that one's green. I fast-forwarded a turn, but you get the idea. It can create some really tense situations. Don't park your ships there. Oh, my God. Very, very bad news. But, yeah, as you can see, it's very straightforward, hex-based combat. You have a certain number of moves, which are based on how your engines are doing. If you have upgraded engines, you can move a lot. If you get shot and your engines get taken out of commission, then you're not going to be able to move very quickly. Here I'm up against just some lightweight fighter ships, which are pretty easy to take out. But those systems get a lot more complex when you start throwing things like, you know, environmental stuff like wormholes and more of those passages in the mix. Here you can see my crew are all very tired because I've done a bunch of missions in a row, which is basically how the game manages your turns. If you do like a bunch of quests without resting, then your entire fleet is going to get exhausted. They're not going to be able to perform very well in missions, and you're going to end up losing a lot of stuff. So you got to go to shore leave, and when you do that, everybody else gets to take a turn. And here I've met the president of the Second Galactic Alliance. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Cool, cool, cool.
I really got a big board game vibe out of this game, and it's not just the two-dimensional aspect of the battle grid, but it's, you know, it's everything from how your turns are limited in the tactical game to how your turns are limited in the strategic overworld map as well, and the abstraction of those resources as well. It felt really like just a very lavish miniatures game, and I loved that.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good way of thinking about it, because everything, there's like one step to everything. And I think for a lot of people, like if you're like a diehard Civilization fan who like loves, you know, building really, really specific strategies around like different like tech tree routes, like this game doesn't really have that. You spend tech on upgrades, and that's like kind of the only thing that there is going on there. But like, for me, I'm actually really into it. I think the comparison that is probably most frequently made and will continue to be made for Starships is it's kind of got an XCOM vibe to it more than it does a Civilization vibe. And I think that those are like two great tastes that kind of taste great together. Here I'm selling off some of my resources to try and get enough money to build influence with this planet, because I'm at 75% influence, and I kind of want to lock this down for my empire before somebody else comes along and starts sweet-talking them. So you can see each one of those ring segments is 25%. I'm going to spend some money here, and all of a sudden, this planet is now on my empire. Now, you can see maybe not the best move, because I left some space in between that and my home planet, which isn't ideal, but it is what it is.
Whoa, is that a Death Star over there? What is that?
That is a dreadnought, I believe is what it's called. So this is one of the more challenging missions that I ran into. But I also wanted to show off here. I have 3 ships, and this one I have specialized to basically be like a carrier, like a airplane carrier, or whatever those things are called. I built it specifically to be heavily armored, really, really slow. It's going to just hang back in the back and launch fighters from its deck. And that's like the only thing that ship's going to do.
Well, see, my aircraft carriers work completely differently. I made mine really light, so they have incredibly long range. And then I have this perk called Hyper Launch that allows my fighters to take an extra move when I launch them. So I can go all the way around the enemy and then launch fighters even further and outflank them.
That's so cool. Like, I didn't even know that that was a thing you could do. And I think that that's going to be the cool thing about Starships is there really are a lot of different ways to make a lot of different stuff just using that one upgrade system. Like, you can make a very fast, very stealthy recon starship with really heavy, very, like, sophisticated sensors. And first round, just send them out, deploy their sensors, and then all of a sudden you know where everything is on the battlefield, and you have a huge strategic advantage. There I just took that dreadnought to task with my lasers, which was pretty sick.
And you got him right in his flank, too. By coming up behind him, that's where his shields were lower, and you actually get a bonus to hit for that.
Yeah, I actually snuck in using one of those wormholes, which was great. So this is an example of me doing poorly in a mission because I have not outfitted my ship appropriately enough. Before each mission, you actually get this cool interface where you see the bridge of your ship, the captain's deck, and you can talk to your different advisors who will tell you what the planet you're about to go into is going to be like. So if there's going to be a lot of these like asteroids, if there's going to be a lot of interference, if ships are going to be slower because there's some sort of, you know, electromagnetic field going on. You also have an interface telling you that how you need to upgrade your ships if you want to pass, and then one that tells you your probability of success. And I think my probability for this mission with this outfitting was like 13%. But I was like,
oh, geez.
You know what? So I'm racing to try to get to that blue portal in time, but enemies are constantly spawning behind me, and I just did like nothing to my ship to make it get there. One space away.
Lit up.
And I just couldn't make it work.
Oh, jeez.
So I lost that, which sucks because now like my crew is going to get super tired. That ship is going to need to be repaired. And damage carries over from mission to mission, but not turn to turn. So if you want to keep going on this turn, like, see, that one already has 1 bar of influence for another planet. I want to get there and try and start locking it up before they can do it when I take shore leave. So here, I just repaired the ship, which cost me some energy. I don't know why I did this. I should have just upgraded the engine so I could kind of bull rush it, but instead I just made this like the most heavily armored ship in my fleet. And I'm going to take another stab at it. This is me seeing my current chance. 50%, that's not bad. 50% chance of success. We'll see what
Let's flip the coin. Let's do it.
Spoiler alert, I succeed. So like, I really dig it, and I think what really is going to make this game win me over is that it's also launching on iPad, and I think that your comparison to it sort of feeling and behaving kind of like a board game is going to make it really, really appropriate for the iPad. Like, I don't think it has the like crazy depth that a Civilization game has, and maybe not even the length of your average Civilization game, but like the idea of just like picking this up and knocking out a few quests on the go, and, you know, getting some upgrades for my ships, and then, you know, keeping it going. Like, I don't know, I think that's going to translate over to a mobile device like really, really well. And there's also some cool stuff about how it handles the oh god, I forget what they're called, the Beyond Earth, like, purity and
the affinities.
The affinities, yeah, it does some cool stuff with those. When you create your character, each affinity has like a different bonus. I forget what they are offhand, but it's stuff like, you know, cities are cheaper to build, or so on and so forth. And then each affinity has like 8 different captains. I'm again guessing with that number, and each captain has its own specific bonus. Like, start with 1 additional starship, which makes the early game like a lot easier to get through, or start with 1 random tech upgrade, which is really fun because you never know like what you're going to be good at when you start playing the game. Like, I did that one and ended up with a free stealth upgrade, and so like I made my first ship that I got a super stealthy fighter, which basically meant I could get right up in an enemy's face without them seeing me. This is me going stealth mode. Get right up in their face without them seeing me and just sort of blow them away, which is pretty fun. Oh, one last thing that I want to show off before we have to call it quits here is the torpedoes, which are really great.
Love the torpedoes.
Torpedoes are an upgrade that you can get. The more points you put into it, the more torpedoes you can fire. And as you can see, they move a designated distance per turn and then freeze in place. And then, see that fighter pilot's trying to get smart, blowing away my other ship. And then on your turn, you can decide whether you want to blow it up or let it keep going. So here I'm making a very bad decision, and I'm just going to blow it up. It's going to take out that fighter ship, but it did also take out my Corvette, which was a shame. But now we know how it works. Yeah, there's all kinds of like cool little mechanics like that I think are going to make combat get crazy deep, especially when you create like this giant fleet and start doing these huge, you know, much bigger battles than the stuff we're seeing here. This is me unsuccessfully trying to take down an enemy's home planet, so I guess this is probably a pretty good place to call it quits. And that's Starships one last time. Oh, so tasty. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you later.